Today is going to be an amazing day. We can create whatever we want today. So I just ask that you be present and have fun today and fill your day up with whatever it is that you want. The partnership, how did that start? We actually hold each other accountable. We challenge each other regularly. It's about ownership versus victim. This group is all about owning who you are and who you wish to be.
To thine own self be true. How many of us are familiar with those words? Yeah. Well, Shakespeare had that figured out. Soul-centered leadership is about being true to oneself. And today I'm going to do my very best to share with you what that means, but it's not necessarily what it means to me. And so what I'm mostly interested in this morning is, what does soul-centered leadership, what does being a progressive leader mean to you? How do I positively influence others? So let's have fun with it. Because what I've learned, at least in my life, is that, the spirit of leadership has a lot of joy. Because if I'm true to myself, then my relationships thrive. How many of us have ever experienced, I'll raise my hand before I even ask. When I've not been, and this has been my journey, this has been my cross to bear, this has been my challenge, those of intimate relationships in my life. The biggest challenge I've had has been that when I'm not true to myself, those get confusing. We understand then, as soul-centered leaders, that the future of leadership is when? It's right here, right now. We're living into it now. There's all this conversation about, well, we got to change the models of leadership. We need to change this, and it's right. It's here now. All the challenges we have in this country and on the planet, they're here now. The soul line is where the evolution and the learning and who we get to be as individuals comes from. Is it perfect to be on this soul line journey? Hell no. It's a wild ride, as all of us in this room know, because we're all on it. Just some of us in this room are on it with a greater degree of awareness about what it is and what it isn't, right? And today's an awareness check. There's no part of me saying it should be different for you. It's saying, how is it for you and what would you want to shift, if anything? Maybe something in there for you, maybe not. You get to choose. So the future of leadership is now. And it's obvious that that's the choice today.
It's not just business. It's personal. We've all heard some version of that in our lives. Normally it's just the reverse. It's not personal, it's just business. I don't know about you, but when I hear that, it kind of grabs my heart and I get a little bit, well, I won't say what I get. Today we're going to do three things. We're going to identify what it is that separates this concept that we have that says, I have to be different in business than I am personal. We'll look at how the way we communicate with each other, how we show up for each other, how we be with each other makes a difference, and how we can uplift people and inspire people or diminish them. And then we'll look at some businesses that have actually made the commitment, and then we'll have a new paradigm with which to answer our call.
Today I'm going to share with you what I believe is the ultimate in leadership, and I call that wholehearted leadership. It's leadership from the inside out, compassion, forgiveness, and love. Emotional intelligence is directly related to that. This is the time to reconnect with yourself and perhaps someone outside. I believe it's the ultimate in leadership. And the question I wanted to answer for you today is that possible in our culture? But until we each take a stand for this and open up our hearts and explore a life of self-inquiry, we're hiding part of who we are. The future of wholehearted leadership begins with you today. Thank you.
thank you for being here today. It is, even though we as a business partnership have really prided ourselves on growing and expanding, to see it come together today is truly amazing. It's inspiring, and it really does bring forth that feeling of love, which is a passion of mine. And so I'll start here, again, answer the call, conscious adventure, love, and leadership. And I really love this photo because it has two concepts, two images that pop out for me. One, as you could see it, is someone sitting there not answering the call. Or you could see her as someone who has answered the call, and she's not allowing the distractions of the world, the opinions of the world, to keep her from the call.
Now, what I've realized in my path is there are three key components in terms of having this purposeful vision. And the first one is to have it so you really own it. It comes from your heart. It's something you become on the inside before it ever happens on the outside. It's about first setting that strong intention. Setting that intention to be of service. Number two, it's slowing down to notice the opportunities. And number three, it's being courageous enough to act. As well as a tenacity and a power and a strength to move through obstacles, we can be the most tremendous leaders we can be. Thank you.
As a leader, all I want to do is inspire people to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and to become more. To help us understand what it means to be a conscious leader, completely aware of our surroundings, living on the soul line. If I can lead from a place of relationship and love, high degrees of affinity, because when you start creating your future, it's better to do it from a really clean space. My encouragement to you today is practice disclosure. Learn what it takes to really speak from your heart, to bring issues that have been bothering you and put them out on the table.
I'd like to then take you through a very powerful experience that was shared with me by a very special coach in my life, and allow us all to really reflect on what matters most in our life and how can we honor that. The cool part was that I was at a place in my life where I was willing to embrace it and to be able to say, you know what, enough. It's time to step into those things that matter most to me. My faith, my family, my freedom, my adventure, my integrity, my desire to serve in an authentic way. We're honored to have you in our lives, and I want to thank you so much for all that you've given to this group and all that you're giving out into the world. Thank you.
Why don't we get out of our comfort zones unless we're forced to? So for me, it's all about growth and learning. I just love doing things that are out of my comfort zone and stretch me because I know I'm going to learn something about myself that I can use in other areas of my life. Well, it strikes me that it wouldn't be right for me to ask you to talk about when you were out of your comfort zone if I didn't get out of my comfort zone right now. And by the way, I'm out of my comfort zone. This whole time I'm out. But I'm really going to get out of my comfort zone and do something that I've never done before. So here goes. I have climbed highest mountains. I have run through the fields only to be with you. Only to be with you.
Really all we want to do is generate some good dialogue around love, leadership, consciousness, and relationship. Mr. Musselman.
Sir.
Please define for us leadership, and asked another way, what makes a leader a leader?
And I'd start with what it's not, right? Leadership is not something that is abusive. It's not something that is entitled. It's not a title. Leadership is a process of social influence which maximizes the efforts of others towards the achievement of a greater good.
How do relationships reflect back what your strengths or grow opportunities are as a leader?
In any relationship, if I find myself challenged with an individual, then I will always look inside of me to see what that is reflecting about me.
Mr. Tom, this one's to you. How does maintaining strong relationships within a leadership role serve the greater good?
Well, I think leadership starts with relationship. It is probably the most important thing that a leader has to nurture and pay attention to.
John, referring back to your presentation, if you would, is it possible to disclose too much in a professional relationship?
The very short answer is yes, of course. In my experience in the corporate world, small business, it doesn't matter, is that people have a long way to go before they disclose too much. But I'd rather have you make a few mistakes in the area of disclosing too much so you find this other side.
It's in my title, Authentic Success. And the interesting thing about authentic success is both of those words make me want to throw up a little bit. And so when you put it together, that's probably the worst title that I would want to create. But having had Stephen McGee as a coach, and as you guys heard this morning, he's not a really big fan of hiding. So I've learned in my life that when I'm afraid or when I'm in pain, I no longer hide from it. I just go straight in. So I'm like, okay, this is great. I'll just use that as my title, the two words I'm most uncomfortable with, and we'll just go from there.
Craig, for those of you who don't know, is just a master speaker. He's been a professional speaker for almost 20 years. He shared the stage with Al Gore and with Tom Peters and is really a master of this whole idea of unlearning. But what I probably admire most about him is just the kind of man he is and the father that he is. Let me introduce my good friend, Craig Zablocki.
All right, thank you, Chris. That was awesome.
Awesome, buddy.
Brother.
Absolutely.
How many times, ask yourself, how many times do you laugh on an average day? How about you, sir? Oh. Okay, hey, yeah, we're here about success here. We're talking about leadership. What the hell who the hell cares? What the, I mean, hello, let's move on with the agenda. It's like, just move on. We're so damn serious, yes or no, as adults? Come on. Well, we laugh 7 times a day. Let's just look at this stat that kids, those 4-year-olds, are laughing 250 times a day, right? What else do you see in those kids that we've kind of lost as adults? What else do they have? How many of you do not want to be embarrassed? Raise your hand. Excellent. This is a question I want to ask. How much energy do we spend as human beings trying not to be embarrassed? Do kids care about that, yes or no? No, they can have spaghetti sauce, boogers all over, no big deal. So today's the day to tell people you love them. Today's the day to hug your kids. Today's the day to put your hand up and come up even though you're scared. Today's the day to risk it, because the joy of that's what it's about.
But just sat with everything that we've learned today, and it's awesome. Awesome the opportunities now that we have. And I hope somebody in this room has some incredible shifts. Fear, courage, and I ask you right now, what are you really afraid of? And if you're still afraid of something you weren't willing to let go, ask yourself, is it possible? Is it possible to let go of it right now so you don't carry it around any longer?